Pompeii, Part 2. The giant wakes up. Suddenly the ground began to tremble. All of the houses in Pompeii began to shake. The giant was waking up. Then there was an enormous cracking sound. The top of Vesuvius blew off. A huge cloud of dust and ash came pouring out. Everyone began to scream. People came out of their houses to look at the huge cloud. Shopkeepers came out of their shops. Bakers forgot about their bread. Farmers forgot about their fruits. The cloud was getting bigger and bigger. The cloud hid the sun. It was dark. Tiny hot pebbles began to fall on the people of Pompeii. Some people found pillows to cover their heads. Others hid inside their houses. Everyone was running and pushing and shoving and shouting. Some people ran towards the town gates to get away. Others went home to protect their jewelry and gold coins. A few went to the temple to pray. The day became as dark as night. A horrible smell filled the air. It was like rotten eggs. People rushed towards the sea. A few held torches to light the way. The sea was wild. Huge waves kept crashing onto the beach. Fish were left flopping in the sand. The family from the big house was able to get into a boat. They were able to get away. When the pebbles fell on Pompeii, many people could not escape. They were trapped under the pebbles. Then hot ashes began pouring out of the volcano. The ashes fell on the people. The ashes were hot enough to make their hair sizzle. The people in the streets tried to protect themselves. They hid in corners and behind walls. They covered their faces with their hands and clothes. But the ashes piled up higher and higher. The people could not move. The people could not breathe. They were trapped under the ashes. The ashes kept falling. Heaps of ashes filled the streets. The ashes spilled into the houses. They piled up in the windows. The people inside the houses were trapped. But Vesuvius was not done. Now a great cloud of poisonous gas rushed out of the mountain. The cloud covered Pompeii. A great river of hot ashes and gases raced down the side of the mountains. The river flowed right over the walls of the town. No one in Pompeii was saved. Across the bay, a boy was watching. His name was Pliny. Pliny saw the strange cloud that came out of Vesuvius. He saw the darkness over Pompeii. Later, he heard about the hot ashes and pebbles and the wild sea. Did Pliny ever forget that day? No, he did not. Buried alive. The ashes fell on Pompeii for 2 days. Then it was over. The huge cloud was gone. The mountain was finally quiet. The ashes cooled and became hard. Only the tops of the buildings showed above them. The whole town had been buried alive. Some of the people who had left their boats came back. They came to look for their houses. They came to look for their belongings. They came to look for their friends. But everything was buried under the ashes. Pliny grew up and became a writer. He wrote about the huge cloud that came over Vesuvius. He wrote about the volcano that had buried Pompeii. Many years went by. Vesuvius erupted again and again. More ashes fell on the town. At last there was no sign that anyone had ever lived there. By and by people forgot about Pompeii. Hundreds of years later, the ashes on top changed into soil. Grass began to grow. People built houses right above the buried town. They built a new town on top of Pompeii. They didn't even know the town was there. Then people began to read Pliny's letters. They read about a buried town named Pompeii, but they didn't know where it was. One day some workers were digging a tunnel for water. They found a piece of an old wall under the ground, but they did not know that the wall was part of a town. Many years later, more people came to dig in the same place. They found more buildings. Was there a town under the ground? Was it the town that Pliny wrote about? Then one of the diggers found a sign, and on the sign it said Pompeii. People were very excited. The lost town of Pompeii was right there, under their feet. If they could uncover it, they could see how people lived long ago. Scientists began to dig. They worked slowly and carefully. They used many tools. They brushed away the ashes. They did not want to destroy anything. They're a little bit like paleontologists, aren't they? The scientists found beautiful gold bracelets. They found unbroken eggs. They found pictures made of coloured stones. These pictures are called mosaics. They even found people who had died. At first, the scientists only found skeletons. Then they saw strange holes in the yard ashes. They poured plaster into the holes. When the plaster dried, the plaster cast was shaped just like people. The plaster cast showed how the people looked when they died. There was even a plaster cast of a dog in a chain. Today, the old town of Pompeii is like a great big museum without a roof. Pompeii is in Italy. People come from many lands to see the town. Scientists watch the volcano very carefully. How much gas is coming out of it? How hot are the rocks near the volcano? How much does the earth shake? So they are prepared. Look, a farmer is taking care of his grapevines. They grow on the side of the mountain named Vesuvius. Nearby, a lizard is resting on a warm rock. It is a peaceful day in Pompeii. The giant is sleeping. When will the giant wake up again? Nobody knows. The end. Well done, guys, for listening. I have actually been to Pompeii before, and I recommend maybe when you're a little bit older that you go too, because it's such an amazing place to visit. See you soon.